If you're considering making a move from the greater Vancouver area to Calgary or trying to decide between the two cities, you're in the right place. So we're going to share a little bit about what we've learned about these two incredible cities, quality of life, what it's like living there, as well as the costs. So let's get into it. We all know that Vancouver is way more expensive than Calgary. Well, how much? Well, the benchmark price for August 2023 in Vancouver is $1.2 million, where Calgary is $572,000, a big difference. But what about detached homes? The benchmark price for detached homes in Vancouver is $2 million, where the benchmark for Calgary is $696,000. What about townhouses? And the benchmark price for townhouses is $1.1 million in Vancouver and $413,000 here in Calgary. And the apartments, they've got a benchmark price of $770,000 in Vancouver and only $310,000 in Calgary. And all this equates to 2.9 times more expensive for detached homes in Vancouver, 2.7 times more expensive for townhouses in Vancouver, and 2.5 times more expensive in Vancouver for apartments. And so the thing is that we have to figure out too is Alberta doesn't have land transfer taxes, property transfer taxes. So if you were to buy a property in BC for $1 million, you would actually have a bill of $18,000 on top of all of your down payment and fees. And if you're a foreign buyer, that jumps up to $218,000 for $1 million property. So let's pause the video really quickly because we just want to introduce ourselves if you don't know who we are. My name's Chamberlain. We run a real estate team with Real Broker here in Calgary and literally have decades of experience to help you figure out that transition from Vancouver to Calgary. Homes are cheaper here, but you don't want to buy in the wrong location. We have got tons of resources, lots of videos to help you out. So let's have a conversation and make sure you buy the right property when you're making the transition. So let's get into some of the stats, comparing the two cities. And I know Calgary and Vancouver, it's hard to compare the two of them, but let's do it anyways. So GVA, Greater Vancouver Area, has 2.6 million people, while Calgary has 1.6 million people, all kind of figured out around to 2021. Greater Vancouver is 2,800 square kilometers, but it also includes places like Burnaby, Surrey, Langley, and Calgary is only about 820 square kilometers. The median age in Vancouver is 41, where the median age in Calgary is 38, and 48% of the population in Vancouver is married. I thought it was interesting. And actually Calgary has 49%, so pretty same that way. And the median household income in Vancouver is $90,000, where it's actually $98,000 in Calgary. But what's really interesting is 45% of households in Vancouver have a household income of over $100,000, and 49% of all homes in Calgary have a household income of over $100,000. Cultural diversity. I mean, this is something that's kind of been a hot topic in the conversations that we've had when the people move here. A lot of times they thought it wasn't going to be as diverse as they expected. And so in 2021, it was reported that cultural diversity, visible minorities, 55% of those in Vancouver are a visible minority. And in Calgary, it was 39% in 2021. But what's really interesting and what's changing in Calgary is that in 1991, only 10% of our population was a visible minority. In 2001, it jumped to 19%. In 2011, it jumped to 30%. And now we're sitting at around 39%. So if you're planning on moving to Calgary, thinking you're gonna see cowboys and everything everywhere, it's not the case. As of August 2023, both cities have an unemployment rate of about 5.8%. Now, for those that are employed and are driving to work, about 24% of the population in Calgary has a drive that's around 29 minutes or less, and in Vancouver, 21% of their population. And what about longer commutes? Well, Vancouver has a population of 3% that is taking longer than 60 minutes, and Calgary is 1.8%. It has been said that Calgary is much more of a car city, and it's true. Because if you look at the walk scores, when you compare Vancouver and Calgary, Calgary has a score of 39 out of 100, where Vancouver is actually about 80 out of 100. And what's really interesting is when you actually take those scores and you kind of look at it, the walk score compared to the transit score and the bike score and transit score are worse than the walk score in Vancouver, but they're higher in Calgary. A big part of walking and biking in Calgary has to do with the weather, right? When it gets colder, it's not as easy to do that. And maybe that's partially why the walk score is so much lower and Calgary is much more of a commuter city. Maybe, I don't know. But the average temperatures in Calgary are typically around -4 to -5 in the winter on average. And it can get a lot colder than that for short stints of time. But it also gets a lot warmer in the summer. It can go past 30. Vancouver, on the other hand, typically stays from 0 to +5 and can also go into the 20s and 30s in the summer. But I mean, they got fall. They have an actual fall season, which is fantastic, and we don't really get while we're here. But what makes up for the lack of nice weather is sun. And let me tell you, Calgary has about 20 days more sun per year than Vancouver does on average. Now, we all know that quality of life is so important when it comes to where you live. And that's a big reason why a lot of people are making the change from Vancouver to Calgary. There was a report, a study that was done from numbeo.com, and Calgary just barely edged out Vancouver in terms of its quality of life score. Calgary had 160.48 and Vancouver had 160.28. So literally, if you're moving from Vancouver and you're looking for a place that kind of still has a high quality of life like you experienced and have in Vancouver, Calgary is probably that place. And let's be honest, if you've made it this far in the video, I have a moving to Calgary guide that I want to send you, and it's free. Email us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca, subject line moving to Calgary guide, and I'm going to send that to you personally. And if you need more information, you want more stuff, you want more videos, then just head over here and we got more for you.